Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about IT and HCL Technologies. That's the one which is in focus. It's bought an Australia-based company called DWS. So let's try and understand what exactly is this buy all about. Swapan Johri, the Corporate Vice President, Asia Pacific and Middle East at HCL Technologies, joins in on the show right now. Swapan, hi, morning. Good to have you on the show. We understand that HCL has announced the acquisition of DWS. Tell us a little bit about the rationale of this acquisition and how exactly is it going to really enhance HCL Technologies' portfolio?
Yeah, thank you. Great to be on this talk. I think the rationale goes a little back in time. I think if you look at HCL overall over the few years, we've transitioned, and I would say not just transitioned, but we've, I think, quite stabilized into our new services mix. Very much in line with that, over the last few years, a couple of years in Australia and New Zealand, we've established our credentials both as a digital transformation services provider, as well as what we now call as a cost transformation services provider. I think the timing couldn't have been better, where we would be looking at how to expand our customer base and be able to take our capabilities, which are quite deep and quite of immense business value to our customers, to a larger set of customers. So that's been the driving rationale. If you look at DWS, they are a company that's spread across a large number of the most important verticals, I would say. I mean, so take the Australia IT services spend. It's in the order of $35 billion. And if you look at that spend, it is very disproportionately high in terms of the breakup between telecom, banking, and government. And this is exactly where DWS is present. For us, it just helps us actually expand a base with the right streams of service, which is a lot of the digital transformation that is happening in the Australian market with Australia customers is a lot of capability that also comes in with this organization. Blend that with ours, and I think we have a very good combination.
Sure. We understand that DWS has FY20 revenues clocking in at about 168 million Australian dollars. What is the kind of impact of revenues for HCL Technology, and would there be any EBIT margin impact?
So let me go backwards with your question. So the EBIT impact is at a company level is nothing. So I don't think that's an issue at all. And if I look at the revenue expansion, I may not be able to share numbers per se, but as I just mentioned to you, the verticals where we can go to with a blended capability, the synergy value of working with DWS is extremely high. And so the 168 million is what they do currently across these verticals, with a very healthy split across these verticals. You would also notice in time, or maybe we can share it in time, that their customer base is quite different from ours at this point of time. In the sense, I don't mean in terms of verticals, but in terms of specific customer names, and therefore that gives us an additional play area to go and work with them and actually be able to take more capability and more services into those accounts. So the synergy value of both a customer expansion as well as being able to take digital services into those customer bases is extremely high.
Sure. What's the kind of demand that you're witnessing as well, particularly in the digital space, and the kind of market share that you're looking to capture?
Okay, I think it's a pretty vast question, but let me try and give you a quick answer here. So I think there is a huge tailwind. It's always been there, but now, especially in the pandemic-induced scenario, there's a huge tailwind for tech adoption. I think, as we all know, and I need not repeat, but just to put it in context, I think technology is what has made us, survive through this pandemic and probably grow out of it, right? So there's a huge tailwind for tech adoption, modernization, digital services. And as I said, I think over the few years, we have transitioned our services mix into a very good combination of what we can do at a foundation level, as well as being being able to go and accelerate digital transformation for customers from a overall end business outcome perspective. So we think we can take, I would say, almost a much higher share of the expanding market on digital services than what what may be the mix so far. So essentially, in the new business that happens in this space, we think we will take a higher market share than what what we've traditionally had as a market share in both the regions as well as those service lines. And as I'm sure you're aware, I think we've been growing at a pace which is much higher than the industry average. It applies to us in Australia too, and I think if you add to that higher pace the the higher share that we will do in digital services, our growth rates in digital services should be much bigger.
Now, HCL Tech recently revised the guidance and EBITDA margins and has started to see, or the company has started to see, strong demand in deal pipeline. Could you give us a sense of what is happening to demand across verticals?
Sure. So, I think the demand, first of all, today is led by a lot of change, and transformation. It's no longer led only by looking at just a cost out, right? So I think that's the important aspect. So the spearhead of all demand, it is what new can happen and what transformation can happen, right? And for the most part, it's the digital transformation that one would talk about. If you take that down and see how it applies in verticals, banking obviously continues. I mean, financial services continues to be, the absolute leader in terms of making this change happen, or the pace of this change. They lead that. But we see a good amount of demand coming up in definitely life sciences, healthcare. That's an area which, as you can very well imagine in the current situation, is looking for a lot of change. Telecom and communications is another big area where there is a huge amount of new demand. Also because there is a lot of new technology that is coming in play over there. So also because of that. And also government. I think governments across the globe are looking at being able to provide better citizen services, more effective, quicker, etc. And therefore, we see a rise in demand over there. And this is not to say that other key verticals like manufacturing or retail, where e-commerce has become very important, and they're changing their entire infrastructure. That's not where the demand is. I mean, they're also having a higher demand than before. But if I was to take a pecking order in terms of verticals, that's what it would be.
Well, I'd appreciate your time. Good luck and thank you for joining us. Kunal, let's talk about